Welcome back to another episode of The Canon. I'm your host, Terry, and today we're doing another Oscar nomination breakdown. Today's category is Leading Actor, and we're going to start out with Mr. Timothée Chalamet from Call Me By Your Name. Timothée Chalamet, of course, led this movie as the young teen who eventually fell into a romantic relationship with the older man in the Italian summer. So yes, I definitely thought that Timothy would get, actually, I thought he deserved the nomination. I wouldn't say that I knew he would get it. Again, Call Me By Your Name was one of the movies I saw a little earlier before the other ones. And so, especially with him being young, I think he's the youngest, actor to get nominated. I remember going through with, what's his name? Jacob Tremblay when The Room came out. And I thought for sure he had one of the better performances I seen that year, and he didn't get a nomination. So I just really thought the Academy would look over younger kids. Now, even though Timothy's like 22, but he looks so young, and he plays a young kid in the movie. And but you can't deny everything he had to do in that movie, how far he went for that role, and then you learn the other stuff that he did besides the romantic stuff he did with Armie Hammer. The kid learned to play piano. He had to relearn another language and all these different things because his character is very sophisticated, well-rounded. So Timothy had to learn these things to the point where it seemed authentic in the movie, and he did an incredible job with that. And the performances was one of the things I really liked about that movie. As far as his chances, I think he has a slim chance. I wouldn't say he has no chance, but it's going to be real hard to beat Gary Oldman for anybody, and especially for him, who's the youngest one on here. So even though it was a great performance, I think this nomination is probably a win for him. So then next up, we got Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread. A lot of people aren't on board with this, but I 100% am. Again, Phantom Thread is one of my favorite movies out of the Oscar pool, and definitely would have been in my top 5 had I seen it prior to 2018. So I actually absolutely love that movie. I do love it more because of Vicky Krieps, the new actress, but Daniel Day-Lewis, man, and you know, funny enough, this is my first Daniel Day-Lewis experience. I haven't watched any of his other movies, but I've always heard about him, and so it's hard for me to like compare to other performances, but I could tell you, just I've never seen an actor just so natural, and I don't know how close that is to Daniel Day-Lewis' actual personality, but I doubt it. I mean, 1950s couture fashion dude, like, I don't know. And so I think he just fell into that role, and it's like really smooth and natural, and you never for 1 second question if he is Reynolds Woodcock, and I thought he just did an amazing performance. He definitely deserved a nomination. If it was up to me, I think he'd be pushing close to win. However, I think he has a slim chance as well. Again, we know whose category this is this year. Daniel Day-Lewis supposedly just did his last role, and it was deserving of a nomination. I definitely think the Academy wanted to get him on here. So slim chance, but definitely deserves it. Now we got Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out. And I know I sound like a Get Out hater with these things, but I said this before in my initial reaction. Out of all the awards that Get Out have been nominated for, I would say this is the most far-fetched one. If people really want to celebrate the importance of the movie, I understand that. If people want to give credit to a first-time director, writer, and Jordan Peele, I understand that. The screenplay, of course, that's understandable. But there were no knockout performances in this movie. The movie definitely it flowed well together, had a good cast, but there was no knockout performances. And Daniel Kaluuya definitely led the movie, and he was the main character. But that doesn't mean he put up an Oscar-worthy performance. So that's just a stretch for me. I don't think he has any chance of winning again. I think these Get Out nominations what is very politically charged, and they wanted to make sure it was represented in there so they could come out looking correct. And sure, that's their decision, but I don't think he has a real chance at winning. Then we got Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour. I mean, that's the performance I've been hearing about. We all been hearing about, buzzing all year, and it did not disappoint. Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill just loses himself. I mean, you could barely recognize him with the makeup and prosthetics, but man, he just really, and I don't know Winston Churchill, but I know that Gary Oldman just turned into somebody else. That's what I do know. Whatever idea of Winston Churchill that he researched and found, that is who he became. Like mannerisms and voice inflection, just the pure, personality and presence that he exuded in every way he did things. In the way he was kind of manic. His thoughts were always racing and this and that, and people just had to speed up their pace to keep up with him. He didn't slow down for anybody. So, yeah, I think he's a lock to win. There we go. And then we got Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire, a movie I did not see. But definitely after hearing the buzz after it came out, it was not a movie that anybody thought he was getting nominated for. While a lot of people did think he put on a great Denzel performance, much like Meryl Streep, it wasn't his best. And so for him to get nominated, again, kind of like those people that I talked about Meryl Streep, where they could get nominated for anything. And honestly, I'm not too mad because I love Denzel and I'm happy he had a status where he can do that. But I think there were some other people deserving this year, and it was a shock to see him on there. And I don't think he has a real chance of winning at all. They just want to recognize Denzel. But yeah, speaking of some other nominations, I would say if we look at this entire list and you talk about some replacements, number one, of course, I gotta take Daniel Kaluuya out. And with that, is two people that I think really should have got a look. Number one, I would have gave Ryan Gosling a leading actor nomination for Blade Runner 2049. I love that movie, but his performance was key to the movie. But his performance was a high level of difficulty when you talk about him playing essentially an android that was all compliant, and then going through his journey, which I won't spoil for you, but to see him slowly rework his mindset and rediscover his world and become something a lot different. The acting ability that it took was absolutely top notch, where you were frozen robotic to begin with, and to slowly through his his body, through his face, through his looks, his reactions, slowly see him become human. And if not him, I would have gave it to Kumail Nanjiani from The Big Sick. People are they're really pushing that movie, and Holly Hunter and the script. And I think as an actor, he did the best job. I mean, he, not only that, he's always been like a comedic side character. So this is his first leading role. And of course it's his story, but he had to be funny as an actual comedian. He had to be funny as a movie that's a comedy, but he also had to be very sincere and very sweet. And yes, it's easy for him to probably tap into those emotions, but I think he did an amazing job for a first-time lead actor. So if you want to put both of those people in there, I would have taken out Daniel Kaluuya and Denzel. Or if you just took out Daniel Kaluuya and gave me one, I probably would have took Ryan Gosling first. So those are my thoughts. But I want to hear what you think. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think about this category. Who do you think's the favorite? Any snubs of yours that you would replace in there? Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. If you heard it here, it's official canon.